Hello, my name is Wenping. Today, I'll be walking you through level 24 to 26 of the Over the Wire Bandit Wargame series. If you have not watched my walkthrough from level 0 to 23 yet, you can find them in the description below. Without further ado, let's get started. For level 24, a daemon, which is a process or services running in the background without any direct user interaction, is listed on port 30,002, and it will give you the password for Bandit 25 if you give it the password for Bandit 24 and a secret numeric 4-digit pin code. There is no way to retrieve the pin code without brute forcing through all the 10,000 combinations. Well, fair enough. This means that you cannot manually complete this level without writing a script to automate the process. First of all, let's connect to the daemon using netcat. Just a recap, netcat is a command that allows you to read or write data via a network connection. It is very handy for banner grabbing, or in this case, to connect to a specific port to perform an action. As prompted, this is a pin code checker for user Bandit 25. Please enter the password for user Bandit 24 and the secret pin code on a single line, separated by a space. Let's try it out. As expected, the pin code is wrong, but the good thing is that the syntax is correct. One thing for sure that we know at this point is that it is not possible to manually go through all the combinations. I mean, it is possible, but it will not be a very good use of time and effort, right? In programming, we learn many things such as data algorithm, data structure, concepts of encapsulation, inheritance, and many other things. But the most important thing we learn is how to solve problems. In this case, we know the formula of how to solve the problem, but we have to keep repeating the same step over and over again. So, this is where knowledge in programming comes in. We can write a for loop to automate the process and let our computers run the steps for us. Here's the thing, as humans, we cannot compute, calculate, or process things as fast as a computer. However, we can use our creative mindset to design solutions that allow us to make use of computers to solve problems for us. It's just like in the case of AI, whether AI will replace humans or is it going to help humans? But that is a topic of another day. For I in 0000 to 9999, well, this basically means that the for loop will run through the variable I from the 0000 to 9999. By writing them in this way, we essentially enforce the program to go through the for loop as 4 digits numeric value instead of naturally counting from 1 to 9999, because that would include many non-4 digits numeric value. Do echo variable I and done. This is to print out the current value of the variable I as it goes through the loop from 0000 to 9999 as 4 digits numeric value. Press enter and boom, now we have a one-liner script that can run something for 10,000 times. No matter how you look at it, it beats running them manually, right? As I mentioned in my past video, the Over-the-Wire Bandit Wargames setup is that everyone will be logging to the same host. Therefore, everyone is intentionally made to not be able to create files anywhere on the host. If you want to write any files, you can only do it by creating a subdirectory in the /temp directory, as that is how the system permission is being set up. Now, create a new subdirectory in /temp and browse to it. Let's run the same for loop again, but this time we save the output into a file called pin. Next, we are going to use a command called sargs. It is a command that I use very often to automate things. What sargs does is that it will read data from a standard input or pipes and then execute a command based on that input. In this case, I want to run a command based on each line found within the pin file in order to brute force the secret pin code. So what I can do is I can cat pin and then I will pipe it to sargs, whereby for each line I will run echo password of bandit24 and the 4-digit numeric pin. So here's what it looks like. Pretty cool, huh? Now that we know it works perfectly and still better than typing them manually, we can finally pipe it to the daemon using netcat. Here's something new. We will pipe all output to T. T is a command that reads from standard input and writes to standard output and files simultaneously. I like it a lot because there are some situations whereby I want to read the entire output to a file for other purposes later on, but at the same time, I want to view its content now. There you go. This is the password to go to level 25. For level 25, logging in to Bandit26 from Bandit25 should be fairly easy. The shell for user Bandit26 is not /bin/bash, but something else. Find out what it is, how it works, and how to break out of it. Well, this level is super interesting as you finally need to break out of a jail shell, which essentially means a restricted shell environment that is used primarily for security purposes, whereby the user is only granted limited access to system resources. If you list the files in your home directory, you will see a bandit26.ssh key. So yes, it is indeed fairly easy to log in to Bandit26 as mentioned in the level task. Previously in level 13, we went through how to perform SSH logging using a private key like this instead of using a password. So we will just do the same thing here using the -I flag. As you can see, the login process was successful, but you get logged out immediately as it stated connection to localhost closed. So what exactly happened? In Linux environment, every user has a default shell, which is the shell that they will be using when they log into their account. The default shell information can be found in the /etc/password file. Let's check out the content within /etc/password. Well, it appears that Bandit26 is using the default shell located at /user/bin/showtext. The content of the shell seems interesting indeed. Whoever designed this challenge deserves a cookie. Firstly, export term equal Linux. It's just basically setting the environment variable term to Linux. Not much of a concern over here. The main command to analyze here is exec-more tail/text.text. What exec does is that it will replace the current shell process with a new command. More is a pager program that displays the content of a text file one screenful at a time. One screenful means that when you use the more command to read a file, it will display the file's content in a paginated manner and fill up the entire screen. If that is all the content, then it will proceed to the next line and exit the program. However, if there is still more content in the subsequent pages, the current screen will become an interactive shell, whereby the user will be able to use the up and down arrow key to scroll through the content of the file or use the spacebar to skip a page. Let's try it out by reducing the size of your terminal. As you can see, the more command was executed as expected right after you log in. However, this time it did not execute the exit0 command yet, because the content of the text file was not fully displayed yet. This has forced the terminal to go into an interactive mode. Pressing V here will enter the Vim text editor mode as shown in the read-only line. Now press escape and type :/etc/bandit_pass/bandit26, and this will allow you to view the content of the file that stores the password of bandit26. There you go, this is the password to go to level 26. For level 26, good job getting a shell. Now, hurry and grab the password for bandit27. Here's the thing, in the previous level, we managed to make use of the interactive shell aspect of the more command to read the password of bandit26 using the Vim editor. With the password, we can now directly log in to bandit26 using the password instead of the private key. I was expecting the level 26 challenge to require us to enter the password of bandit26 into some other files or daemon like in some of the past levels, which that makes sense for us to still obtain the password even though we already have access to bandit26 using the private key. Once again, using the reduced size terminal, we will log in to bandit26 via SSH. Well, it is up to you whether you want to log in using the private key or the password. Press V to enter the Vim text editor mode again, but this time we will run a different command. Press escape and type :set shell =/bin/bash and then press enter once. The command you just run has set bash as your current session's shell. To switch to it, you can run :shell and press enter. Now you have a proper shell on bandit26. Do note that if for some reason you get disconnected, as long as you exit this session, you will have to redo all the above steps again as the default shell is still the jailed shell. In the context of privilege escalation, like what you will normally do in taking an OSCP, what we did was essentially using the Vim text editor mode of the more command to escape the jailed shell and gain a low privilege system access. List the files in the current directory using ls-l and you will see two files here. First is none other than the text file that you have been seeing upon each login to Bandit 26. Nothing interesting about it. However, next to it is a very interesting file. If you take a closer look at its permission, they are RWS. The S in the RWS of owner's permissions refers to UID. It is a special permission whereby when it is being set on an executable file, like in this case, it allows the file to run with the effective UID of the file's owner instead of the user that executed it. This is often used for programs that require elevated privileges to perform a specific task. If you try to run the program using /bandit27-do, it will display a hint that this executable's purpose is to allow you to run a command as another user. So, like you have guessed, let's use it to obtain the password of Bandit27 so we can get to the next level. There you go. This is the password to go to level 27. With this, I have come to the end of my step-by-step walkthrough of OverTheWire Bandit Wargame series for level 24 to 26. I hope this detailed walkthrough has been beneficial in your learning. Honestly, the challenges we solved today are really fun. We got our hands dirty and wrote a shell script that involved a for loop, and it was the first time ever that you have break out of a jailed shell, right? Isn't it rewarding? Learning cybersecurity can be fun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you face any issues or just want to share your learning journey, please add them in the comments. Stay tuned for more videos in the series.